The Dance of the Eunuchs. This is a poem written by Kamaladas in 1965 in her first collection of poetry called Summer in Calcutta. So let's see. It was hot, so hot before the eunuchs came to dance, wide skirts going round and round, cymbals richly clashing and anklets jingling, jingling, jingling. So here we see that she is drawing a picture for us. Kamaladas is very famous for her conversational tone, her confessional poetry. Her poetry is very raw and very intense. So here she is drawing us a picture of a very hot afternoon, a very hot day. And we can see that the eunuchs are coming and they are dancing. So, right in the beginning, we see the imagery, the visual imagery. They are wearing wide skirts and the skirts are going round and round. So, this shows us that they are dancing furiously with great passion, with great intensity. And the cymbals, they are making the sound with the cymbal, that is the percussion instrument, and the cymbals are clashing, making a great deal of sound. And now we have to imagine the auditory imagery, that is another device here. And the anklets are jingling, 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 she says, which is the usage of the same word again and again, repetition. This repetition is used for a dramatic effect to increase the intensity, as well as one is also led to think of this jingling or this repetition seems to kind of give us a picture about the life of the eunuchs. It seems to be a life that is filled with monotonous repetition. To simply go and dance for these various occasions while they are not really leading fulfilled lives. So there is a symbolic meaning also in this jingling, 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 this continuous jingling. Are they happy in this life? Beneath the fiery gulmohur, with long braids flying, dark eyes flashing, they danced and they danced, oh, they danced till they bled. This is a free verse, that is why the style of lines are coming like this. And she says that behind that fiery gulmohur, the very word fiery is to show the contrast, the image there. It is fiery, it is intense. So they are having long braids and they have flashing black eyes. So here the poet is showing us the very word eunuch is to mean transgender, those people who are of ambiguous gender, who are not falling under the male or female, but again in the third gender. So here the poet is showing us that they are dressed like women with long braids, with all kind of ornaments, and she too is trying to show us the feminine energy that they are portraying. Yet at the same time, I feel the most important thing here is that they are so visibly invisible. That contrast, that binary opposition is the most important feature here. Everybody can see them. They are right there. They are dancing. They are looking feminine. And yet for society, they are invisible. They are visible yet invisible. Society is not looking at their needs as human beings. Their needs, their dreams. These people too who belong to the transgender community or the eunuch community, they too have needs. They too have to fulfill their dreams. But is society so bothered about that? Are they constantly having to fight for their rights? So we see that they are dancing and dancing till they bleed. They are figuratively, symbolically, they are bleeding to earn a livelihood. There were green tattoos on their cheeks, jasmine in their hair. Some were dark and some were almost fair. So they were of different skin color. There were dark people among them, there were fair people among them. They wore jasmine in their hair. Jasmine is again a sign of purity, of beauty, of femininity. And the author too is trying to show us, she too is placing them with that divine feminine. And she says there was green tattoos on their cheeks. Again, another symbol of fertility and femininity. And yet, all this is denied to them. That contrast is presented here. Their voices were harsh, their songs melancholy. Their voices were not, even though they are showing themselves as women, their voices are not sweet like women. Their voices are rather harsh. The masculinity that is inside them shows in their voices too. And their songs are melancholy. For each community or any person would be able to sing only of their own experiences. And here Kamaladas very subtly points out that they have only melancholy things to sing about. And look at the sad fact here is uh, the eunuchs are dancing. So dancing is something that is joyous. Why are they dancing? They are usually dancing in, especially in those times, in the community where she was living. The author is witnessing this sight. They are dancing maybe when a child is born in a house. The Hijra community, they come in, they dance, and they offer their blessings to the newborn child, and in return, they get money or gifts from the family. Or maybe when a new house is being taken or any project is started, they come in order to pray, in order to sing, and to give their well wishing. And there are also, you have seen in movies, and you might have seen in certain documentaries or in any such place, or even physically, you might have seen that they would bless, or also sometimes they will curse the households that do not give the money. Now, why are these people pushed to this job? Why do they have to do this? Isn't society responsible for the fact that they are not given a space of their own? Are they treated like every other individual, or are they marginalized? Marginalized is a word that you have to keep in mind when you are talking about the rights of these people who are minorities, who are fighting for their rights, and especially at that time. So she says, their songs are melancholy, the song of lovers dying and or children left unborn. So they are talking about lovers dying. They are talking about unfulfilled, perhaps unconsummated love of children who are not born. And yes, many of them do not have their body cannot produce children, and that too is seen as a lack. And here too society is dividing them from those who have a womb and those who do not have. Those of the community who identify themselves as female, as the feminine, yet do not have a womb that can produce a child that can recreate and give birth. And so the very term mother is being denied to that individual. Some beat their drums, others beat their sorry breasts, and wailed and writhed in vacant ecstasy. Vacant ecstasy is a loneliness that is all consuming. That the very fact that they cannot lead normal, ordinary lives, they do not have laws that are protecting them. Quite often in various societies, they are ostracized. They are looked upon as different, as marginalized, as the other. And they are beating here, the poet says, some are beating on their drums, some are beating on their sorry breasts. Sorry breasts again denotes the physical, as in a body, the physical body that may not be fully formed or looking like a woman. And it can also mean in the mental or in the figurative, symbolic sense of a breast that cannot nurture, that may not be able to produce a child, that cannot harbor dreams of love in that bosom. So the word sorry breasts, and they're wailing and writhing in ecstasy. So this dance to the author feels almost like convulsions. Is it a convulsion or a revolt for their freedom? A sort of meaningless convulsions in order to achieve their aims, their dreams. They were thin in limbs and dry, like half burnt logs from funeral pyres, a drought and a rottenness. So now she says their limbs were thin. Many of them seemed to look rather malnourished. Thin in limbs, their body, their hands and legs seemed very thin. It even resembled the half burnt logs from funeral pyres. So now we know that funeral pyres are where the body has been cremated. The dead body is cremated, and the wood or the logs, they are burned. Now that fire, is it the fire of rebirth or regeneration, or rather that fire is of death, of dreams that are buried? So here too we see there is very high symbolism in the poem, and this shows the death of their dreams. The very word used is funeral pyre. So there is a drought, a rottenness. A rottenness, is it in them or a rottenness in the society? The society that makes it very hard for these individuals to lead a fulfilled life. Is society ready to understand them, to empathize with them? All these questions come, and this is how the poet Madhavi Kuti makes us think. Even the crows, so drought is something dry, deserted. So the drought is to show that there is no fertility happening there. There is no life, there is no continuity of life. So even the crows were so silent on trees, and the children, wide eyed still, all were watching these poor creatures' convulsions. So, even the very crows, the crow is again, it has that symbolic sense where they say that for the funeral pyres or in death, the crow is the in certain culture, in cultures like there is a tradition where the food is kept for ancestors and the crow is coming and consuming it, and the crow has a lot of religious and mythological significance. And even it is said that the crow, how it cries when there is a death and brings in the rest of its tribe. So all these references are there, and even that crow seems to look at these creatures. The word creature is used, not a human being, but one who is treated without the dignity that should be given to a human being. So the crow is even looking at it in surprise. The crows are silent on trees. The children, wide-eyed, little children are staring. They don't know what kind of dance is this. Why are these people dancing? They are looking like women. They are dressed as women. So in the beginning of the poem, we see that all the terms of fertility, the terms of beauty, femininity, the woman, the divine woman is brought out by the author. And as she goes further into the poem, she goes into such a way that she is now showing that femininity, it cannot be brought forth. There is an underlying rottenness in society, and that is why suddenly she has discarded that feminine image, and instead she has taken an image of barrenness. She is now showing us not the dancing, fiery, intense moments, but rather the rotten and, very unfruitful life that is led. The poor creature's convulsions, here she is feeling very sorry for these people who are having to earn their livelihood in such a way. Convulsions means the involuntary shaking, the movements of the body, the so-called dance. The sky crackled then, thunder came and lightning, and rain, a meager rain that smelt of dust in attics and the urine of lizards and mice. So suddenly the sky crackled and thunder came, lightning came, and rain came down. Now, rain is again a symbol of fertility, of beauty, but here the rain too is meager. It is not coming into its full form. So, here again and again, symbolically, we see that the eunuchs are treated not as complete, but rather as creatures who are only half developed, half formed, even though throughout history we see that people have been born in the third gender, and it is not only men and women but people of the third gender, the transgenders, the eunuchs, the hijra community. There are so many people who are in these various societies who need equal treatment and equal opportunities in life, equal education, the right to have a job, to live in society, but they are being denied. And if you take the religious context, there is the Ardhanarishwari concept where the abilities of man and women are both being met in these individuals. But rather than respecting people and treating them as one in society, they are shoved to the margin, shoved to the corner. So here the rain is meager, and that rain is bringing the smell of dust in the attics as if it is something old, something forlorn, and the smell of lizards, urine, and mice, something old, discarded, decay, rottenness. So again, complete imagery, auditory and visual imagery is very high. So we have to see that the author is a lady of iconic importance all over India. She has written equally in Malayalam and English. She is known as Kamaladas, and her in Malayalam, for her work, she is known as Madhavi Kuti. She has written poetry as well as prose. So here, that vividly visible yet socially invisible eunuchs are portrayed brilliantly by our author. They are here we see that they are celebrating the contrast. They are celebrating the birth of a child or a marriage, but they themselves do not have that. The very same thing is not happening to them. They cannot celebrate an auspicious event for themselves, like the birth of a child or a marriage. Then we are immersed in the auditory experience. The noises continuously, we see the jingling of the anklets and the clashing of the cymbals. Then the poem is free verse, and a desire for permanence in society is denied to these people. And throughout, we see that that desire is very prevalent in the fact that they are blessing, they are being trying to be a part of the fabric of society. So the duality of life, the duality of human life, where some people are not treated equally, and that binary opposition is very apparent here. Then the theme of the poem is definitely marginalization and the need to see all equally, duality of life, then the suffering of these people, the futility sometimes that we encounter in life, that utter futility. So here we see that the author is initially giving us a very feminine picture and then drawing us to the truth of society and making us question as to, should society be doing more, much more, for those who are marginalized? Should they be the other? Thank you.